my name is Adhela Quijada Banks. I am the CEO of Soulful Liberation and the author of the Black Foster Youth Handbook. I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you so much for joining us here today and for your continued support day to day, month to month, and throughout our first year and beyond. Um, Such an exciting time to celebrate the first ever year of accomplishments for the Black Foster Youth Handbook and really for all of us as a community because I mean this couldn't have been done with just me or just one person. And so shout out to you, shout out to my team, and I'm just really excited to continue to grow, transform, evolve, and create a greater impact in the world. So thank you, and I hope you enjoy. Have an amazing evening.
What if the only way to move forward is to first take a look back? Foster care has always been a conflicted area, a constant battle between the well being of young people and bank balance. Angela outlines these two narratives with an explorative yet emotional approach. Angela believes that the best way forward for foster children in the system is through a happy, healthy, and holistic path. She opens a window into her world with heartfelt honesty and integrity, whilst also maintaining an empirical basis by including official data and statistics. This intention of this book is not to only reflect the system, but the reader too, in a series of mirroring moments. Each chapter encourages the reader to trust in the direction they have been set upon with a series of informative anecdotes and supporting evidence. This book is deeply informative with a balance of shocking statistics and personal accounts. Advocating healing of indoctrinated narratives and focusing on the turning point, Angela is a beacon of hope for the establishment and beyond. Although regarding a difficult situation with an evaluative and encompassing approach, the overtones of Angela writing is one that, with the utmost respect, distinguishes elements of progression and hope for the future. It looks back at history with love and adoration, taking on board the lessons that will stand with us today and make communities stronger. The Black Foster Youth Handbook available on Amazon and our official website. Order now.
Hi, I'm Joshua. I'm a support specialist at Soulful Liberation. I just want to thank all of you for your wonderful support you've given to this book. Your support and trust are much appreciated. None of this would have been happen without each of your support. So thank you very much for your unwavering support and we really appreciate it. I'd like to express my deepest appreciation for the excellent mentoring and help of our ever hardworking CEO, Miss Angela Quijada Banks. Your guidance has been influential. And so, once again, to our supporters, to the team, to our CEO, to our company, I'm Joshua saying thank you very much.
Hello, this is Mike, one of the team support specialists. On behalf of the whole team, thank you for all the support you've given to Black Foster Youth Handbook. Hearing all your positive feedback is heartwarming feeling for us, especially to our great mentor, Angela Quijada Banks. Despite of the challenges we've experienced for the whole year, it is an awesome experience that Black Foster Youth Handbook has been able to help our readers turning their pain into purpose. Now, we would love to share messages from our lovely readers and the impact Black Foster Youth Handbook has given to them. Again, thank you so much for all the support and especially joining us here. Our team will continue to reach greater heights and touching hearts by guiding the community, turning their pain into purpose.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Regina Gavin Williams. I am a counselor educator clinician and scholar from North Carolina. And I just wanted to take a few moments to just give a testimony as to why the Black Foster Youth Handbook is an important tool for helping professionals such as me to have. This book was written by Mrs. Angela Kiata Banks, and it has been an amazing tool and resource for me to utilize as a clinician in my work with adolescents who are aging out of the foster care system. And so I just wanted to take a few moments to express, one, my gratitude for having such a practical tool to guide and inform my work. But I wanted to start just from the beginning of why I wish I had this tool when I first began my work with youth in foster care. So it was around 2013 when I met Angela, and we began to work together. And during that time, I was a provisionally licensed clinician in the state of North Carolina, and just now getting a chance to work with youth who were in the foster care system. And during that time, it was a huge learning curve for me. There was a lot I just did not know as a clinician, as a person, all of the barriers that youth were facing who were involved in the child welfare system. I thought to myself how naive it was for me to not understand the stories and the concerns that children and adolescents who were involved in the foster care system had at that time. And it was a lot of kind of searching for various tools in order to inform myself better. And it was extremely difficult during that time. What I knew was that I was a skilled clinician and that I had the tools to work with children and adolescents, and particularly those who were facing a lot of concerns. What I didn't know is all of the barriers and all of the different situations that children and adolescents were facing. And what I also knew during that time, I was in a doctoral program in counseling and counselor education. And, we're taught in the doctoral program to really search and look for evidence-based practices that are really informing our work. So as I searched and searched through the counseling literature in my field, I recognized that there was a widely absent presence of what counselors could do to better support youth in foster care. A lot of the information I did find was in the social work literature, but being trained as a clinical mental health counselor with a counseling background as opposed to social work, I wanted to learn more about my particular field and what I could do to support. And one of the most valuable tools that I learned specifically from Miss Kiata Banks during that time was her own personal story. A lot of what I'm reading in this book, I'm remembering from the stories that she shared with me and the things that she was doing to overcome, to be resilient, to recognize the adversities in her life, and to really reflect that in a place of overcoming and learning those tools to do so. So here I am as a clinician. I'm learning from the experiences of someone well beyond her years of what it really takes to truly capture the life lessons and tools and resources to better understand her positionality at the time as an adolescent aging out of the foster care system and what I could do to help her. And that ended up being one of the most valuable tools that I learned from her in order to help support other youth that I was serving in that position. And so when I look back on that years later, and I see such a fruitful resource such as this that I wish I would have had during that time to really guide me in the work that I was doing as a helping professional to really served with some evidence-based success tools that really allowed me to better understand where they were, educating me on all of the terminology at that time that I didn't understand, the people that were in their lives that I didn't understand, and learning more about what those processes were like. I recognize after reading this, they're all in this book. It breaks down terminology, definitions, even legislation related to the child welfare system and foster care. And all of those tools and lessons that Anhala brings to the table that are helping to provide a source of support, a source of understanding, is something that helping professionals such as myself could use and understand in order to best support the people who are in foster care that we're serving. As a clinician, as a counselor, we're always taught to really engage the client or the individual with empathetic understanding. It's really difficult to engage in empathetic understanding if you're not recognizing the stories, the narrative of where the individuals you are serving and supporting are. To really recognize the intentionality behind what it means to truly understand. And I believe this resource is going to help helping professionals really recognize what it means to engage in empathetic understanding as it relates to supporting the youth that they serve in foster care. One of the real important tools that I think I got out of this book, this handbook, was the model that Anhala uses, the real success model. And I really enjoy it because it really breaks down piece by piece what she would like individuals in care and also supportive adults to understand, kind of broken down. And I think that really gives it a pragmatic approach that I appreciate as a clinician and as a counselor educator. And it's really rooted in a theoretical framework, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And so, coming from my lens of understanding what it means to be able to create, practices out of evidence-based models, I really appreciate that Anhala took the time to create a model that really substantiates itself in a conceptual framework for helping professionals to abide by and to use as a guide, on top of also youth recognizing that. I also love, because I take a pragmatic approach as a counselor, the different activities. I could only imagine if I had this resource then, how I could sit down in my sessions and be able to truly speak to the reflections that she shares, but then also sitting down with the individuals I'm serving and going through one of the chapter exercises, doing a 72-hour challenge, or thinking about what it means for their own personal social development. It takes the guesswork out. To me, I am someone who likes to create structure in sessions, allowing for time for obviously the person to be able to share and reflect, and for us to engage in what they would like to, but also leaving with some tools that they can work on in preparation for the next session. And I feel like this handbook allows me to do that. So even in my work as a clinician now, it's going to allow me to really work with the youth and have some exercises and tools and tips that we can work on both in session, in between, that is going to allow us to engage in conversation the next time we connect again. So to me, that's very important. Another tool that, fellow counselors, helping professionals, you all could probably attest to, is we like to have tangible resources that we can actually utilize. As much conferences as I attended, one of the things that I really get out of it, and what I've learned from presenting at conferences, is professionals want to leave with some actual tools, some activities, some tips that they could utilize in their work. And so now I can go to conferences, I can reference and cite this book, I can be able to go through these exercises to show some of the practical tools that they can utilize, and then direct the helping professional to this particular resource to utilize. And so, again, from what I've seen during that time in 2013 to now is I was able to truly utilize this source as a way for me to recognize and understand what some of those barriers, in reality that are faced. Outside of reading articles, I'm reading a true story of someone who's lived it, but also I'm able to get some tips and tools that I could use to help them to better understand their stories and to help them reach success. So I do feel like this particular handbook really speaks from a holistic wellness perspective. And what I mean from that is, Angela really takes the time to recognize the support that a youth aging out of the foster care system needs in mind, body, and spirit to holistically feel well, to get over those perhaps traumatic experiences they faced, and really recognize the direction they'd like to take to reach success. And that's a really important aspect that I needed to recognize in order to better support youth aging out of the foster care system. And I think she captures that very well. So when you read this book, you're going to be able to see how to support a young person aging out of foster care from a personal, social, or social emotional standpoint, even from a career development standpoint, and also from an academic development standpoint. So it doesn't just talk about, learning the system and who's going to be there to support you and all of those things, but it also talks about issues of person, to really recognize the essential being that you could tap into in spite of what you're going through. And so with these 50 plus tips, I'm telling you, it's something that I have not seen before in the literature that I've read, in the articles that I've written. This to me has come up as my number one resource at this point. And again, I wish I would have had it when I was writing my dissertation on a relatable topic, career and college readiness and adolescents aging out of foster care. I wish I would have had it during the work that I've done. And I feel like if you are out there and you are a helping professional and you're looking for a source, not only for Black foster youth, but all foster youth, and helping them to reach that adult self-sufficiency that we talk about so much, then this is a great resource for you, regardless of what kind of discipline you come from. Again, I came from the counseling field, but I know that it could be very supportive in other fields as well. I know social work, but I'm sure that there are several other school counselors. This is a great tool for you. And, I really just want to express the gratitude that I feel that this particular handbook exists. In sharing this with my colleagues who are very informed in the work, as what I would say are some high-level scholars, tenured professors who've been studying this kind of topic for so many years, they are in awe of this resource because they recognize that it needed to exist, that these stories needed to be illuminated, and that these success tips are something that are pragmatic, they are something that is practical, and that it could be of use for so many individuals around the world. And you're getting it from someone who's lived it, who's experienced it, and who has advocated for the better support of youth who are aging out of foster care. And so we're not only talking about this from kind of like this micro level, but we're taking this to a macro level. Mrs. Kiata Banks has really taken the time to study and to inform legislators and congressmen about the importance of reaching and helping to support the success for adolescents and for youth in the foster care system. And so you're going to get all of that within this source. So as someone who is engaged in the field, to another person, I would say if you're looking for that source, if you're looking for a way to really inform your work, then this is for you. And of course, for the young people who are living this every day, this source is definitely for you. I hope that it brings you as much knowledge and understanding and hope as it did for me and my colleagues who are reading it or have read it thus far. And I hope it's something that you would share with your other colleagues, because the more that we continue to inform the message about how important a resource like this exists, the more a young person will get the support that they need. And so thank you, Mrs. Kiata Banks, for writing this book. Please pick yours up. And I hope that you help the youth who are aging out of the foster care system in your life holistically heal. And I think this resource will help to do that. Thank you.
My name is Tamisha Macklin. I am a foster care youth alumni and also program manager at Elevating Connections. Today I'm going to talk about how child welfare professionals and really any youth serving professional can utilize the Black Foster Care Youth Handbook when working with their clients. So when I found out about the Black Foster Youth Handbook and when Angela asked me to be a part of the book launch, I was really excited because this is something that has been missing from the child welfare system for a really long time. A lot of youth need, especially youth of color, need resources that's going to support them on their journey, but that's going to really specifically talk about what it's like, what that experience is like being a youth of color within the child welfare system. And through my lived experience, I had firsthand knowledge on some of the challenges it was to grow up and oftentimes be, the only Black person, in the household. And then to also not really know about like who I am and my history. And, I didn't have my mother growing up. And so even Black hair, and how to take care of your hair and how to embrace that when people are like, your hair is nappy and things like that. And this handbook touches on that and it embraces that and it talks about how beautiful it is to be natural and be who you are and embrace who you are as a person. So I'm really, really excited to introduce this with my youth at Elevating Connections. And the way that I'm going to do that is that I'm starting a book club through one of our programs. So let me back up just a little bit and tell you a little bit about Elevating Connections and the work we do and how that came about. So Elevating Connections started through a summer camp program called Camp to Belong. This is a national organization. And so I found out about Camp to Belong in 2012. And I knew, and so Camp to Belong reunites siblings that are separated in foster care. And I was separated from my siblings. So when I found out about this amazing program, I was like, I have to be a part of it. And I wanted to volunteer. So because when I transitioned out of the foster care system, I decided that I wanted to help other youth on their journey. So I did a lot of volunteer work and I was studying human services at the Community College of Denver. So I ended up, being a camp counselor. And then I had the opportunity to get together with the executive director of Elevating Connections and other board members to start something because we wanted to serve youth, not just for 1 week over the summer. And so we wanted to have a year-long programming for youth that were separated from their siblings. So we came together and we started Elevating Connections. And and we've expanded and grown. And so we did connecting events. And then as we got further along, we're like, I work full-time with runaway and homeless youth. And so I wanted to have like more resources for youth that were transitioning and also having resources for older youth. So we ended up starting the Empowering Youth Expressions program. And that started through writing workshops and poetry. And so through the Empowering Youth Expressions program, we're able to expand and teach youth how to advocate and have creative ways of sharing their story and expressing themselves through art, poetry, music, and even comedy, which is really amazing. So after finding out about the Black Foster Care Youth Handbook, I was like, I want to start a book club in the new year for 2021. So we're going to be starting the book club on MLK Day next Monday. Can't wait. And the reason why I like this resource is because it's very hands-on, where it you have time for self-reflection, and it's a workbook. So each week that we meet for the club, we're going to be able to, it's going to be in a group setting, but it's going to be virtual. And we might try to do some small groups with it. And I'm really excited because it's virtual, I'm able to work with youth all across the state in each county. And so right now we have over 5 counties involved in this book club. So that's really exciting. And like I said, youth serving professionals can use this. There's different sections in here. There's poetry in here. There's resources. It talks about rights, policy and legislation, healthy relationships. And there's just so many different lessons. And it's really about empowering our youth and letting them know that it's okay to be your true self and set goals for yourself and really focus on becoming your best self. So I'm really excited to be on this journey with my youth. I'm really thankful that I had the experience, and I'm proud of Angela for all the amazing work that she's doing for foster care youth. This is life-changing, and anybody that's working with transition age youth populations and youth that are still in the child welfare system can use this resource. It's needed, and the time is now. And so I've been able to share this within the Colorado Youth Leadership Network across the state for different organizations to learn more about it and to learn more how they can utilize this when they're serving their clients. So definitely, if you have not got a copy, get yourself a copy and get your youth a copy of this amazing tool. Thank you all. Happy New Year.
Hello, everyone. My name is Victor Sims. I'm from the great state of Florida. I had the opportunity to read the Black Foster Youth Handbook by Angela Kieta Banks. What really touches me right now is this is a time where these conversations needs to be happening. We are facing some of the hardest times in America. An America in which inequity is more apparent. Inequality is more visual. And the pursuit of happiness sometimes seems out of reach. But Angela Kieta Banks' book, The Black Foster Youth Handbook, takes you through a system of care in which Black children are actually disproportionately a part of. It kind of concerns me. But going through her recounts of what the foster care system was for her, and being able to put myself in those shoes and answer those questions with the handbook has opened up my eyes to see a system of care that could use some improvement. A system of care that could be a lot better. But Angela Kieta Banks doesn't focus on just the negative in the foster care system, but she outlines the strength that is given to Black foster youth all across this country. And this handbook will be a tool for Black children, Black teenagers, and even our partners and our allies to understand how we can be better and how we can find ways to, in a sense, rise up.
Hi, my name is Kayla Morgan, and I am a foster care alumni, a foster care advocate for youth in care and families who are in the child welfare system. I'm also the owner of Resilient Roots Roots.wellness on Facebook and Instagram, and our website's www.resilientrootsgr.com. I'm so thankful to be able to come here in this space and talk about the Black Foster Youth Handbook. This book is something that I could have used in care. When I was in care, there was no trauma-informed practice for youth in care who'd experienced trauma. The narrative around my case was very negative. I was over-sexualized, like most youth of color in care. I like to tell people that my story is very much one of falling through the cracks. I feel like my rights as a foster youth were violated multiple times, and I did not have the knowledge or the empowerment to speak up on those rights or enforce those rights. So, for professionals in the welfare system who are walking alongside youth right now who are traumatized from being removed from their families for whatever reason, can use the Black Foster Youth Handbook to get on the same page, to really create equity and understanding of the system. This is a tangible tool that can help professionals engage with youth on their level. This book is interactive. I love the writing portions and the scavenger hunt. It really is a tool to build relationships so that the experience in foster care for the worker who may be experiencing secondary trauma from exposure to multiple cases, and the youth who is experiencing a whole new life, right? Their life will never be the same after experiencing foster care. I hope this becomes a norm or a practice that is embedded in all the systems of care. Everyone should be reading this book. If you're a foster parent, if you're a foster worker, if you're a judge, if you are a lawyer, you should be reading this book so that you can better serve the populations in your organization. So thank you, Angelia, for writing this book for youth, for being in the place and creating the space and giving back. I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. My name is Melissa Gutierrez, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about the Black Foster Youth Handbook, my experience reading the book, and why I think this is an amazing book that every young person aging out of foster care should have their hands on. So just a little bit about me. I actually grew up in and out of the foster care system in San Diego County. So I wound up going into the system a couple different times, and my most recent time going back in, I came back into the system at the age of 14, and I actually stayed in all the way until I aged out or turned 18. So, coming out of the foster care world and out of the foster care system, you're really scared. Like for me personally, I know that it was a really challenging time, easily one of the most challenging times in my life, because I just didn't have that support. I didn't have those connections. I had a lot of self-doubt. I had a lot of insecurities. And I would have really loved to have a book like this because it would have changed the game. It would have given me a blueprint. It would have given me some kind of tips. And most importantly, it would have let me know that I wasn't alone and I wasn't the only person that had this experience and that was struggling to kind of find their way coming out of it. So turning 18 and aging out of foster care, was really hard for me. I had a lot of challenges kind of navigating the adult world and didn't really know where to start. And as I went through this book, as I go through the Black Foster Youth Handbook, and as I was reading through the book, some of the things that stood out to me were the sense of hope that is pervasive throughout the book, the sense that you can do this and that there is a future for you.
Angela does such a good job of really being like not only a spokesperson but a cheerleader for every young person that, you know what, yes, you can do this, and here's how I did it. Let me share my tools and techniques to help you get to that next step. So really, really just an incredible tool that I wish I had had when I was going through it, because I know it would have helped me a lot. I know that would have been so huge for my experience, especially when there's not that many people coming out that really can relate. Like I remember having social workers, I remember having case managers and people in my corner that I definitely appreciated, but I didn't know how to connect with them because they didn't come out of the foster care world. You know, they didn't share that experience with me. And so it was really hard to connect with people and find my people and find my tribe and the people that I would connect with for the rest of my life. So I love this book. It is absolutely incredible. If you are a young person yourself, or if you are working with young people, please, I would urge you to read this book and to order it for your youth or for yourself, because it is a game changer. And what I really like about it is that it gives you a blueprint. So the thing about the book is it actually really walks you through step by step kind of where to start. And it starts with healing. And I love that. It starts with you and taking all of your whole self and just really loving yourself. And that message in itself, to love yourself and to be proud of who you are and to know that it's okay to be struggling, is something that I didn't hear when I was in the system. Like I didn't really get to have that that hey, it's okay. Like this, it's going to be okay. And having that kind of comfort and safety, you really feel as you're reading the book, you know that this is someone that, hey, has been through it and is in your corner. And it just really motivates you. So going through it and reading through it, I was motivated to get to the next step, to do the task in the book. And one other thing that I like about the book a lot as well is that it's very interactive. So it's going to ask you questions. It's going to have small tasks or assignments that are not meant to be like chores, but really are insightful and are engaging, and that help you learn about you a little bit better, and also help you learn about different tools and techniques to be able to really achieve like a holistic sense of wellness. So not just like the practical items of, you know, here's some practical tips on how to navigate the adult world and how to age out and what to think about as you're making that transition, but also here's tips on how to just become a better person overall, how to be a better person, and how to love yourself, which is so huge, because I feel like that's the piece that was missing for me, is that I didn't really know how to love myself coming out of the system that was built to use and to abuse. And so you know, with that, I just really, really appreciate all of the work that Angela did in this book. This book is incredible, y'all. Like, please have a look, have a read, order it. It is absolutely phenomenal. What an incredible tool for young people to have in their tool belt. And like I said, this book is not just for youth of color. This would have been so amazing for me. Like, this would have been a game changer if I had this coming out of the system. And I know it will be for so many others as well. So please encourage you to read and check it out. Definitely will not regret it. It has so many different tips, tricks, tools, techniques, and you just read it and you just leave with a sense of like, I got this. Like, I can do this. And that's thanks to the handbook. So check it out.
Hello, my name is Liza Weidel, and I am the Chief Encouragement Officer for my company called FRS Communications. We focus on content strategy and social media, as well as helping people get the word out about their businesses. I'm also an author. I wrote the book, The Truth About Parenting, Navigating the Elementary Years. This was written when my boys were in elementary. Since that point, we became foster parents, and then I became a guardian ad litem. And that's why I'm here today, is to talk a little bit about my niece's book, The Black Foster Youth Handbook. I'm so excited about this book and the way that it was written, and what a tremendous resource it will be for not only Black foster youth, but also for guardian ad litems, as well as foster parents and others who are youth advocates. You know, my journey from parent to foster mom to guardian ad litem was taken in very small steps. Along the way, I had to learn to let go of what I thought was best according to my background, to doing what was in the best interest of a child according to their unique skills and abilities. Becoming a guardian ad litem is not for the faint of heart. The training involves learning about the court system and understanding the intricacies of the foster care system, as well as the role of the guardian ad litem and how to write court reports. After the weeks of training, I was appointed by a judge to investigate the needs of a child. And almost before I could pull out from the swearing in ceremony, I received a phone call telling me that I had been assigned a child. Oh boy, I had to take some deep breaths because I didn't think I was ready. And, the truth is, no one's ever really ready to become a guardian ad litem. I had to realize that, through my experiences with the PTA, and then I went on Mom Congress, and then the work that I've done in the area, I probably could at least make a good effort and work really hard with the family and certainly with a child to understand what was going on and to understand how to best advocate. And probably the most important thing I had was the time and the heart for the work at hand. In meeting the foster youth, I quickly learned that it wasn't about giving the child more stuff. Jackets get lost and toys get broken, and bikes will get flat tires, and all the stuff in the world will never help a young person realize their full potential. What foster youth really need is a pathway through the chaos that has become their life, to finding their voice, to understanding who they are apart from their background and their current circumstances. And Angela's book really can help with that. It is a framework, it's a journal. The youth can write in it after each lesson. It's also a wonderful book for guardian ad litems to understand from a youth perspective what's going on. One of the hardest jobs for a guardian ad litem is earning the trust of a foster youth. For me, I pretty much trust people to be who they say they are until they break that trust. And that's because I had adults when I was little that I could trust to give me the things that I needed. I may have wanted more stuff, but I always got what I needed. But that's not what's true for the foster youth. And they just have a hard time trusting people. And from the moment they're placed into foster care, there's like this army of people who come in, and it's confusing the roles and who's supposed to do what and when and how often. And that's why it's important as a guardian ad litem to show up. And so I just kept showing up, and I was on time and actively engaged in the foster youth's life. The other thing that's important is not to expect the foster youth to be happy to see you or to maybe even like you. That comes in time. And this book really helps describe some of those experiences and feelings. And the most important thing to realize as a guardian is it's not about me. Not at all about me. I had to make really sure that I kept my focus on the foster youth and just really realizing how different life was for them. And as Angela points out in her book, just to make really sure that you don't tell anyone that you are that child's guardian ad litem. It's a point that should really be driven home in the guardian ad litem training, and somehow that just gets lost. If I would meet with a foster youth outside their home, I would always describe that I am a friend of the family, and as I got closer, I became known as the aunt because I would show up and I would take pictures and do my best to help them capture happy moments in their life. And I really appreciated in Angela's book, she speaks to living in the moment and capturing those memories. And that's in lesson 2. And you just have to really make sure that you're helping a youth through those times. Angela's lesson number 6 on Black history is still relevant today, is one that I wished I could have read when I was a foster mom. She said it best: foster care is one of these systems that in many ways is still continuing to carry out institutional racism. It seemed crazy to me that when I became a foster mom, I was only able to have a child in our home who looked like me. When I asked about having a Black child move in with us who seemed from an age, ability, and need, I was told no, because I wouldn't know how to style her hair. And for me, I thought there's so much more to a child's heritage and background than being able to style her hair. Plus, I knew I had a few friends who could have helped out. And I loved that Angela speaks to this in lesson 24. She says, your hair is your crown. And she really speaks to the differences and how important hair can be. And really, she even gets some tips and points towards some YouTube videos that could help as well. I am so glad that Angela wrote this book from her perspective and titled it the way that she did. She doesn't shy away from the tough topics. She allows space for the foster youth to write in. And let's see if I can find a good section where you can see that. So here's right here, you can probably see just a little bit where she allows some space to write in. And I can imagine that when someone has this book, it won't be finished in a weekend or even in a month. It's meant to be gone through slowly and to go through time and time again. Angela's book helps youth dream not just big, but even bigger. And she helps see that poverty is not a destination. In lesson 48, she speaks to how important financial literacy is, and there's some great steps in there, and guardians and foster parents really need to take note of that. Foster youth can really choose who, what, why, and where they want to go in life. And this book really helps a youth kind of take charge of that destiny. This book also includes some poems, and I am so tickled that Angela sent me this poem called Still Here. And if you'll indulge me just a moment, I'm going to read it. Let us never forget our roots, nor who we have become. Our origin is of stardust. Revolution is our legacy. United through bloodlines of royalty, I must profess, for our people will always rise, seeking progress. Nothing can hush our pride or slow the stamina of our stride. Our heritage flows with gold and honey from lands of wealth and jewels and money. Oh, how we've endured the trials of our past. Yet when all else is diminished, this resilience will last, for it is written in the cosmo eons beyond us. We are divine and without fear, and above all, we are still here. Angela, I am so proud of you, and I really have enjoyed this book and reading it. I've enjoyed knowing you since you were 16 years old. Can you believe it's been that long? And I have flowers here I wish that I could give to you because it's got like a little sunflower, and I know that you love those. I wish you grace and peace and love in the new year, and thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of this. Bye.
Thank you for sharing this wonderful day with us and really appreciate all your support and especially being part of Black Foster Youth Handbook's first year of success. Now, by giving back, we are happy to announce that Black Foster Youth Handbook will be 45% off if you order it on our website. That's www.blackfostercareyouthhandbook.com. Again, thank you so much for being a blessing to our team. Have a nice day.